Hello again and welcome back everybody to another edition of the Royal Report. I am your Royal 2IC and we're going to try our hardest to get back on track and do our daily headlines report. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And again, in no particular order on this. So first things first, the largest fire in Russian history, so they say as of right now, broke out in St. Petersburg. This was a online store kind of warehouse called Wild Berries, and it's about 70,000 square meters. It's huge. I mean, kind of consider it like a massive Amazon warehouse or whatnot to give you an idea of how big this is. There's a lot of pictures and videos and things that's very easy to go find if you haven't heard about this. It's huge. There was, I forget how many people that they said had to respond to this thing. The if you want to call it, good, well, I don't want to say it like that. What is being reported as good news is that there was quite a few people inside and they all made it out safely. So I find it odd that there was absolutely no injury. So I'm not entirely sure how true that is, but fingers crossed. Hopefully that is true because I don't want to see anybody get hurt on something like that. So I don't see anything as of yet, which my Russian is not very good. So I've been trying to find where they gave out a cause of it. So far, I haven't really seen anything where they have said an official cause. Next, a few days ago, Papua New Guinea declared a state of emergency when civil unrest broke out. And they declared this because the result of this civil unrest gave way to looting, burning of different buildings and shops, and ultimately 15 people were killed during it. Does that remind you of anything? So there's a lot happening all over the place. Okay, we just watched it in a couple of other areas, and now I haven't even seen anything in mainstream media talking about Papua New Guinea. So definitely keeping an eyeball on it. Next is Iran seized an oil tanker. Looks like the name of the vessel was St. Nicholas in the Gulf of Oman. And our favorite U.S. spokesman, Mr. John Kirby, came out and responded to this seizure, which there's a whole lot more to the story. If you have a moment and this interests you, you might want to go take a little bit of a 15-minute deep dive into that because it wasn't called the St. Nicholas, just FYI to this. There's been some boat name changes, and this wasn't the first time this thing's been seized. So there's a there's a lot more to this story. But Mr. Kirby came out and responded to this incident, saying that Iran should immediately hand over the oil tanker along with the oil. Oh, and the crew too. Yeah. Make sure you give us the crew back. I mean, it really goes to show you that where their loyalties lie and what their priorities are. They were very concerned about getting that oil back. All right, so what's all over everywhere, and I'm not going to go over this ad nauseum. I very well could, but a couple days ago, the U.S. and the U.K. Unleashed an attack on Yemen, and looks like the U.S. and the U.K. are the ones that actually flew the missions and was the ones that were in the air and in the water launching. There was other countries such as Canada, Bahrain, Australia, some other ones that were providing some sort of assistance. They really didn't say. And then here's where all the fun stuff comes out. Okay, so uh, so far between each campaign that they are going in and launching these missiles and attacks, the U.S. comes out and officially says that they've given Yemen notice before they do it. So much so that they're even saying exactly where they were going to do this. We're going to launch at this site, this site, this site. Now, I completely, and I can't 1,000% prove this is true, I completely see this as 100% fact just because I was looking on some of the different news sources and things that I go to, and I popped over to a smaller Telegram channel, and I believe it was on Wednesday night or early Thursday morning. I saw somebody post saying The U.S. has notified Yemen that these, whatever it was, 10, 15 spots are going to be subject to attack. Here's how many missiles we're going to launch at each site. Here's what type of missiles we're going to launch at each site. Here's the exact time that we're going to do the launching and all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, clickbait. Nope. And I swiped right off that thing and moved right on. Then all of a sudden, all this stuff starts panning out. And I'm like, wait a second, where did that person go? And to be able to call all that day and a half before it happened, I mean, I don't know how you say that the U.S. didn't give notice and somebody had that kind of information that made it basically public. So the next thing that makes it interesting is that, of course, this is kind of that fifth generation warfare, or any type of warfare, to be honest. Propaganda comes out. So the US and UK say it's 100% successful. We went in there, we did exactly what we wanted to do, 100% success. The UK even came out and said we did this for their own good to de escalate the situation. I don't know about you, but usually lobbing a missile at somebody when there's tension doesn't necessarily de-escalate anything. If anything, it makes things 10 times worse. So I'm not entirely sure how they came up with that, but sure. Now the Houthis came back and said that there was no real damage done. Very few killed and injured. I want to say it was like 2 or 4 killed and just a little bit over that, 5 or 6 injured, less than 10 total of killed and injured, which kind of would go through, if that's true, that they had some sort of advanced notice, to get all the people out of there. Now, do I think either side is correct? Partially. I would say that if I had to put money on it, that the truth is somewhere in the middle, like it always is. Was it 100% success? No, I very, very seriously doubt it. When does anything ever go, especially militarily? When does anything go 100% success? On the other side, oh, there's absolutely no real damage. It was all just real minor stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's probably a lot more than they care to admit. Which, after all this happened, oil prices immediately shot up 2.5 to 3%, depending on where you looked and at what time. The UK, the US, and the Netherlands both had websites that were hit with widespread DDoS cyber attacks. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to be a tit for tat. Somebody's got to blink. Something's going to happen. This small little flick here, punch in the arm there, it can only go on for so long. Somebody either has to completely back out and bow and walk away, or the main punches are going to start going. Things are just going to start flying, and it's just going to be bad. I don't know. There's a whole lot that you can go back and forth on this, and really to take a second and step out of this. Speaking of preparedness, if this stuff gets you into a panic, here's the best thing to do: set yourself up in the best way that you possibly can. Get your food, get your water, do all that, and then shut your phone off. Okay? Don't panic on all this. If you're sitting here going, oh no, I got to watch the news because I got to see when the nuke is going to come in, or the EMP, or the Chinese come over the hill, or whatever it is that's got you in a panic, you watching or reading is not going to stop it. Okay? Do what you can to prepare for what you can. And if it puts you in a high anxiety, turn your phone off. Turn me off. Okay? Don't let your health and all that, and your mental health, be affected by any of this. Okay? I do everything I can not to scare anybody. I want you to be better prepared. That's why I don't sit here and read this with the doom and gloom. You gotta buy this or you're all going to die. And I'm not going to do that. I try and do this as a laid back. I'm sitting here trying to just calmly, hey, here's some headlines, here's some thoughts. Keep an open mind. If you're interested, here, let you know, you can go look. If you're not interested, at least you know about it. Let's move on from that one. So here's one that I don't think many people are aware of, okay? So Manila Times reports that the U.S. has transferred 39 million gallons of fuel from the naval base in Pearl Harbor to a civilian depot in Subic, I think it's Subic, Bay, which is in the Philippines. And they're citing that they did this move in case there's a conflict over in that area. Now, why is that stupid? Okay, well, here we go. That fuel that's in Pearl Harbor is pretty heavily guarded. If they really kind of wanted to put something up there, they could have moved it to Guam, which is, again, pretty heavily defended. Where's a really dumb place to move it? Oh, let's just move it to the Philippines to a civilian oil depot. That's smart. So I'm sorry to say, because I was really hoping I'd be wrong when I said I see gas prices hitting $5 a gallon. Well, when this gets hit, which almost inevitably this will get hit or seized or something, and fuel prices are going to go up. Okay, I'm calling it now. So if it happens, I'm sorry. I don't want it to happen. I wish I would be completely wrong and gas would be 50 cents a gallon and you all can come laugh at me. But the stuff like this, that's going to end up making me right. Okay, let's move on. So today, officially, the Taiwanese had their election, and Taiwan now has a leader. Not a new leader, they re-elected. So this is their third term in office. And that leader, in case you don't know who it is or follow Taiwan politics, is a very pro-Taiwan, anti-China reunification. Now, the interesting thing is, though, is during this election, he stayed in power, but he lost control of parliament that went to another party. So it's going to be interesting to see what takes place now that there's kind of that rival political power in there. China's not very happy about any of this. Okay, they're still trying to diplomatically threaten, saying that they're willing to work through a diplomatic solution, but their stance has not changed. They will make Taiwan reunify with China in 2024. So we'll keep on a lookout. Now, right now, from what I understand, especially from hearing a lot of people talk about this, now is not the time militarily for China to go. The seas are not, prime for it. Bunch of conditions just are not prime. Now, yeah, they're sending over jets and some other things to just kind of, hey, we're still here, but we'll wait and see. It's going to probably be early spring from what I can hear and gather to form my own opinion. I kind of agree with them that if they're going to do anything, it's probably going to be early spring at the earliest. So another one of those. Sorry, we'll have to wait and see. Next, so I'm sure you guys have heard about this. I even think Pinball did a video on it. So the Sweden defense minister issued a warning to its citizens, telling them to prepare for war. Basically causing the entire public to start panic buying. Okay, again, this is why we prepare. So when stuff like this happens, you can sit back and go, no, I have everything good. No, I don't need to go out there. All these people that panic buy, these are people that probably have 3 to 5 days of food and water at most. They are panicked. They're like, uh-oh, something's going to happen. I can't even make it to the end of the week with food and water. I need to go out and battle all the crowds and run and chaos and all this total anarchy and all this. Don't put yourself in that situation. Okay. Next, CENTCOM put out a report saying that 2 U.S. Navy sailors are missing off the coast of Somalia. That's just a weird story. S2 Underground talked about this. I agree full on with what his analysis was. During time of conflict, for one person in the military to kind of AWOL, go off, suicide, anything like that, it's not uncommon. For 2 to go at the same time at the same exact place and all this other stuff, that's extremely rare. And yeah, I get it, especially during all this time of conflict in that region and all this other stuff. His analysis take on it was it's probably the best way to cover up that something went south and you don't want to report 2 deaths, so you just kind of do that standard training op or, two people missing sort of cover up. So I don't know. They didn't even say anything about it. Just, hey, two people are missing. Thank you. Have a good day. But yeah. Next, I want to touch on this, okay, before we move into the full on here in the homeland news. So, Google, and we're only, 2 weeks into the new year, Google updated their inappropriate content policy, and they said that they did this in preparations for what they're calling sensitive events, okay. Now, this is their examples. You can go find this and fact check me if you would like. Uh, and if you find this interesting, I would encourage you to go look this up. So, some of the examples that they're inappropriate content, meaning that they can block, ban, all this stuff. If you talk about this, post this, anything like that. So, give me a second. Let me read through this and I'll tell you why I'm mentioning this. So, some of the examples are any events with significant social, cultural, or political impacts, and those could be anything from civil emergencies, natural disasters, public health emergencies, terrorism, conflict, or mass acts of violence. Now, the reason why I'm putting this out here that I want you to be aware of is that's all stuff that I talk about in my daily headlines report. This right here, okay? They're saying that if you talk about or post anything about any of these topics, then they can pull that article down, they can pull that video down, they can pull pictures down, they can pull your whole channel down, okay? So if you start seeing people, a lot of us between me, Pinball, Magic Prepper, any of these kind of bigger guys, even the smaller channels like Pennsylvania Preparedness, Prepping with Sarge, if you start seeing some of these channels start, slowly getting shadow banned or getting a video pulled down or anything like that, this very well might be why. Okay, so some people may see this and start altering talking in code. Some people don't care. They have that attitude. We have those friends, and they're going to continue to do it. I have a few guesses on who might be first because they don't care. And yeah, I hope that nothing happens to them because I really enjoy their content. But just a heads up on that, okay? So moving into the homeland, just a couple of things. So right after the Yemen attack, whatever you want to call it, protests happened in all your usual places, such as New York City and DC. We talked about that. The way that they had hundreds of people show up to all these locations so quickly afterwards in the wintertime, it doesn't sit well with me. And of course, you also have, you know, there's been no call of war. There's no real reasonings for what anything's doing, as far as politically. Nobody's gone to Congress. Congress hasn't even talked about any of this. Uh, this is all weird that you have executive going against, congressional in an election year. Okay. So that kind of makes me feel like, unfortunately, I'm going to be right again on another one that the current resident is not going to be on the ticket. Okay. There just seems to be way too much infighting. But speaking of the White House, social media has now posted pictures and videos of last night that the White House has dusted off the riot fencing and the crowd control fencing and have reinstalled them around the White House. So something coming up this weekend that we're getting prepared for? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Next is Secretary of Defense, Mr. Austin, is still hospitalized. What's again really odd is that there's absolutely no updates on his treatment, if it's going well, not going well. There's absolutely no release date or anything along those lines. And the reason why I mention this is because they still have not said that there's been a transfer of power. So he still technically has full power of Secretary of Defense. And keep in mind that there's still a military event going on in Russia and Ukraine. There's still a military event in Israel and Gaza. Uh, you've got tensions in North and South Korea. You've got tensions with China and Taiwan. We're going at it with Yemen, causing tensions with Iran. Uh, all this is going on simultaneously right now, and we don't technically have a Secretary of Defense in power. Keep in mind, there's three people that have to give the no go to launch the nuke, okay? One of them is Austin. And if he is under anesthesia or anything along those lines and he can't make that call, uh, nothing's launching. Got to have all three. So keep that in mind. And last, and this video has gone on long enough, so I'm just going to very quickly touch on it because I'm still working on it. So the Texas National Guard has seized Shelby Park, which is in Eagle Pass, Texas, preventing Border Patrol to go into there. So we will probably do a little bit deeper of a dive. I know I'm working on it more and more to try and bring a little bit better of what's going on into the homeland. Depending on how things go, if there's a busy news day, I may cut these into two different videos because I know I'm getting feedback on I want to know more of what's going on outside the United States. I get more feedback saying I want to know what's going on inside the United States. And so I don't know if I'm going to break these into two different videos. If it's a slow news day, I can combine them, make a short video. If it's a big news day, I might split them so that way we're not getting 20, 25-minute videos because I know that's really difficult to fit into a schedule, and I apologize. I try never to go over 20 minutes. And I think I'm already at like 21, 22 right now, so I apologize. So, but keep on the lookout of this. The Border Patrol did file an emergency lawsuit, if you will, against Texas. They sent it up to the Supreme Court. No word on yet if the Supreme Court even want to listen to this. It'll be interesting if they do. My guess is they probably won't. They'll probably kick it right back and say, no, the state is doing state business inside of the state. So that's my guess on what will happen. I have no clue. They may end up taking it, and who knows what will happen then. So just something to keep an eye on. But yeah, there's a lot of things still going on. I could have touched on a lot more, but again, this video is going really long, which I apologize. Last thing, yes, there's a lot of weather stuff going on. I've seen and heard from a lot of you about different weather that you guys have experienced in the past 24 hours and are experiencing on and off today. I know that we've had, I think our highest one was a little over 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, blowing things all around. Never lost power once. Pretty impressed with myself. So I hope everybody out there is safe and warm and all that. If the power did go out or something like that, I have full faith that most of you are probably prepared for that. It's a really good training exercise for the power to go out. I know it sucks, but use that to your advantage. What can I do better the next time that this happens? If the power was only out for an hour, well, what happens if it wasn't? For that hour, did you sit there and do nothing, or did you get up and just go to work? Hopefully you guys went to work. That's what I'm hoping. So, all right, guys, that's all I've got for you guys today. Working on a lot of content, so keep an eye out. I got some other interviews and stuff. I got to start nailing down some different things, but yeah, it's just a busy time here, just like for most of you, especially you homesteaders. I hear an awful lot about what you guys are doing on the homestead, so be safe out there, guys. Enjoy the weekend. Happy Saturday. Stay tuned. More information to come of everything else. Remember to remain united, because we're all prepping in this together.